I came to the conclusion, you know what, I don't want to regret when I'm 50 that I didn't take that chance. The challenges I have are challenges other German subsidiaries here have with German headquarters, right? We're speaking about not only a language barrier, and most Germans actually know English quite well, although they sometimes don't want to speak it, which is one challenge. You have to take a more proactive approach to motivate your people.
Yes.
Speak more positively, speak about your successes.
Welcome to the Westbound Podcast. My name is Matthias Oertzen, founder and managing director of the Oertzen Group. Each month we bring you international business leaders to share their personal and professional journey in North America. Thank you for spending time with us. Now let's get to it. Hello everyone, I'm very excited to learn more today about oil, lubricants and additives, and I'll be doing this with my guest Sebastian Zelger, and he's the president of Liqui Moly USA. Welcome Sebastian.
Thank you so much, Matthias, for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, it's great that you come. I think you're in town to visit some clients and
Correct,
right?
yes. Okay. As a matter of fact, after this episode, I just have to run to visit the warehouse of our distributor, as well as have some nice dinner with him. So
excellent, great, yeah.
It's a full day, and it's a pleasure to see you here. Thanks for the invite.
Excellent, yeah, fantastic. That's really good. Thanks so much for coming to see us, and we've known each other a little bit. I think the last time we were on the West Coast together.
Yes.
So which is actually, I think, where Liqui Moly is headquartered, but we'll get to this in just a little bit. So
yes.
It's going to be a really interesting episode learning about a German oil specialty or specialty oil manufacturer, you know, given that Germany doesn't have any oil reserves currently, I believe. So
correct, yeah.
It's going to be good, yeah. But tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, I think people have already detected again another German accent, you know, yet another German guest. Maybe tell us a little bit about Sebastian.
Thank you, yeah. Which is sometimes a good thing, right? Because it leads into conversations with people at the store and business if they detect this German accent.
Sure.
So I kind of want to hide it, but I kind of don't want to hide it. So it did help one or the other instances so far in my life.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But you mentioned it. I have a German accent. Why? Because I'm born in Germany. I'm raised in Germany. Love my country back home. But I also had always this passion for the United States here. And the reason being is my dad was in the military. He was a pilot for F-4 Phantom. And in a certain age, you have to be kind of retired because it's too much stress on your body. So he got retired. And instead of being stuck at home, he bought an RV. So he took all of us out for 2 years when I was 5 years old to make a round trip in the United States.
That is so cool. Okay.
So with that, I really learned a lot about being every second day at a different location, at a different place. So it gave me this flexibility I now love and enjoy. And just the curiosity to learn about new places, to learn new people every second days, to actually detach yourself from all the material stuff which we collect during time and we think we need. Hey, we had an RV, we had ourselves, and that's it.
That's so cool.
I really learned to love the US with its people and everything.
How old were you when that happened?
So we moved to the States when I was 5 years old.
Okay.
And we returned almost at the day of me having to go to school.
Okay.
It was like middle of September, and where my family was like, we have to go back now because school starts. And I was, what is school? Like, what? Because the concept of school was kind of new to me back then, right? So we came back in the middle of a countryside back to Germany.
Yeah. And
I was thrown into this class of people who never even got out of our county in Germany.
Wow.
So all of a sudden this stranger extraterrestrial Sebastian is put into the class with a lot of people who don't really know anything about outside of Germany, not even speaking of the United States.
Sure, yeah. So that's great. So you were 5 years old when you did that 2-year experience, right? Or from like 4 to 5, 3 to 5, something like that, right?
So I was 5 years old and I returned when I was 7.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
So it was
and then right into school.
Exactly. I was like flying back second day after into school.
That's amazing. Do you remember speaking English quite well at that point?
Yeah. So in the US, I did speak a lot of German because we were mostly within our families, but I caught English by watching television, like hearing my parents speak English to other friends we met there, or just strangers on RV sites, right?
Yeah.
So in that regard, it was easy for me to speak German.
Yeah.
But you know what's funny? We had we had a lot of people from the countryside in Germany.
Yeah.
They had a strong Bavarian dialect,
Uh-huh.
and I didn't understand them at the beginning.
Oh,
So I came
wow.
home the second day of school, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Mom, I have trouble understanding them.
Wow.
Like, they speak different than we do. So
Right.
that's how alien I felt in that class. But yeah, sure enough, I adapted within a couple of weeks, and it was fine.
And you were proper Bavarian again.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Exactly.
awesome. Very cool.
Yeah, yeah.
So your roots in the US started really early then. Okay.
Really early,
Yeah.
and then every summer break for 6 weeks we flew back because we still had our RV here in the States.
Yeah.
So we flew back and forth. My dad took care of the RV, visited family, visited friends. Actually, more friends because we didn't really have family here.
Yeah.
But friends. So
Friends,
we
yeah.
revisited them. Still drove around with an RV.
Did your dad actually fly the plane here in the States for the? So he's in the German army, right? Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
But he was flying a plane here in the States many times, right, or not?
He had practices.
Okay, got it.
With the army here.
Like joint maneuvers kind of stuff.
Exactly,
Yeah. Mhm.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
But he was on no Air Force base here stationed.
Got it,
So
sure.
it was only for him prior making all these connections and having these trainings with the U.S. military.
Very cool. That's awesome. Yeah. So then you're at Liqui Moly in Germany, and you still have this love for the U.S. or connection to U.S. Right? Like, how did you start with Liqui Moly?
Exactly. So it began in my university days. I still didn't really know what I want to do with my life. I think as 80% of all the students in Germany.
Yeah.
I remember.
Same here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Same as I was. So I studied something which was really broad. So I kept my options open, right?
Yeah.
So instead of only economics, I also liked the technical part. So I studied in German Wirtschaftsingenieur, which is industrial engineering. With a focus on production. Why production? Not because I love it necessarily, but I was like, in Germany, we're good in many things and maybe we're not so good at other things, but we're really good in producing and being efficient.
That's true.
If I ever need a job and I'm desperate, I always will fall back into, I studied production. So
Right.
I always it's like kind of like this thinking, I always have something in my hand.
Sure.
So
which is very German, by the way.
It's very German, like the risk aversity and
or at least have you have your baseline covered. So
exactly.
to say, right?
I think it's very important in life
Yep.
to you always have a net to fall back to,
Yep.
and you can then just get up again.
Yeah, exactly.
So falling is something we can talk later about it more. I actually like risk in a certain way, calculated risk. So I'm not afraid of falling, but I do want to make sure in life, if you fall, that there is something which holds you off.
Right.
Because there is many examples in life where people didn't have that, and like you really crush hard, and it can crush you.
Yep.
So in that regard, I think having a good study is something I would recommend to everyone.
Absolutely.
It's you learn something, you have more experience, and you just have it in your pocket, and you're good, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Gives
And
you
what
self-confidence.
else are you going to do? You know, like idleness is the devil's workshop, I think is what Roosevelt's wife said. You know, there's something to that, you know, not doing something, you know, like we could go into apprenticeships right now as well. You know, we'll maybe do that later. But just staying busy and purposeful and having something that is meaningful in your life. So very cool. So you got that degree, okay?
Got that degree.
Yeah.
And during that degree, we had some practice learning about the industry. So learning about production and so on. So I had the chance to work for bigger German companies during that time, right? So I was for half a year at Porsche in Stuttgart. So I had the chance to move to Stuttgart for half a year. And we worked together with that company, and I always loved to work for Porsche just because it's an amazing car brand.
Yeah.
Good quality, known internationally, very successful,
Amazing
good and smart
cars,
people,
yeah.
amazing cars.
Yeah.
So I was in a department which really intrigued me a lot. It is called...
Headquartered in Atlanta, by the way, for the
learned
US.
That.
Yeah.
I learned that, yep.
The Porsche Experience Center, next time you'll come, we'll go. They have a very nice restaurant. It's called the 356, you know, as the model, the Porsche 356.
Yeah.
And it overlooks the racetrack, and it's so it's pretty cool. And then the customer experience, it's a really fun thing to do. I mean, you get to choose all these different cars and, you know, take them on the track. I think there's one out west too, isn't it? Isn't it in California?
Might be.
Might be.
There might be.
Or
Yeah.
they were planning one, but anyways, they're headquartered here.
They also have, and don't take my word on it, but I think it's the Experience Center, which has a repair shop facility there. And I'm pretty sure they use our oil.
Oh, that's
by the
cool.
way.
That's
Yes.
great. Yeah. Well, premium car, premium oil, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's a really good match.
Yeah.
And people who drive Porsche love their cars, so they do their research on the internet and see what's best for their car. And often enough, they stumble across that brand here. So really proud to say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Porsche is something I got my first real experience what it is to work in a corporation. Because let's be honest, it's a corporation. It's not a small family business. It's several thousand people work there. And the department I used to work was called Exclusive and Equipment. Not equipment, but technical equipment, equipment. And it was like an organization within the organization. So it was part of the corporate structure, but it was still small enough. It kind of managed itself from purchasing to realizing projects to selling these projects within the Porsche organization. So if you, Saudi Arabian car owner, wanted your Porsche in gold, we would try and see if it's feasible, and we would actually execute on that. So it was
That's awesome.
And fair enough, it was not myself. I was there as like helping out, like as an intern, but I could see the whole process and learn about it. So I really loved having insight in many different angles of the business, from purchasing to sales, which is not often the case in any corporation.
Yeah,
right? You're like in your little silo.
Yeah, very
and that's what
specialized.
you do.
Yeah.
So I loved the professional and good quality work, but I also loved the fact that I could do a lot and I could see a lot from purchasing to sales, right? So that kind of gave me the idea, I don't necessarily want to work for a corporation unless it's something I could oversee different angles of the business. But I like the professionalism. I like how you're perceived as a Porsche employee in that time, right? Like they were seen as they're good quality people who know about quality. So I really like that aspect of it. So yeah, my hunt for a good job in future, which I still didn't know by that time, was continuing, but I kind of knew already a couple of angles, which I really liked a lot about that.
Yeah,
job.
and so often as early in your career, it's about eliminating what you don't like, right?
Correct.
I'm sure you got to see a bunch of stuff like, I'm not doing that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the guy who has like a good salary, good position, but at the end of the day, my scope of decision making is whether the stitching in the car is red or blue. That's not really what I would like. So
I get it.
It has to be a little bit bigger, the scope.
Sure, yeah.
So sure enough, back to uni, was doing my bachelor thesis with Carl Zeiss Vision. They do glasses. They're known for many things worldwide. They have a whole Meditech operation in Oberkochen. Super good company, but not really the field which I felt enthusiastic about, right? It's more the automotive world, which I felt this is what I want.
Yeah.
So after my university, I remember back, because before university, I was doing internship with Liqui Moly, which gave me good insight.
Ah, interesting.
And that's then when I rethought, you know what? I want to combine that professionalism, which I saw at Porsche, together with automotive, together with I can grow within a company to a point that I can see many different angles. And Liqui Moly combined all of that. So that gave me the motivation to start in 2014. With Liqui Moly.
Yeah, excellent. And how did you start? What kind of position did you hold there? What did you do for them?
So it was junior export sales manager.
Okay. So going into sales at that point for sure.
Correct.
Yeah.
It was definitely the path I was led into.
Yeah.
But the nice thing about what the company offered me was a whole program of seeing the different departments.
Okay.
So I could see purchasing department, the marketing department. In every department, I had like a month or two time.
Was this very purposeful or something you lucked into? Was this kind of like a high potential development kind of program or?
I would love to say yes, but I don't know if they saw any high potential by then. It was more a path.
More path, okay.
It's more a path which the company I still think offers for young, engaged, enthusiastic, and motivated
Yeah, what
people.
a great way to,
Exactly, because it's not only that you learn about appreciating the work the accounting department does, but also to learn the people behind it.
Sure.
So grabbing a phone and making a phone call 2, 3, 4 years later in your career when you're sitting here in the States is way easier, because instead of, hello, Mrs. XYZ, you can say, hello, Sabine, could you please help me out? So it facilitates a lot in your day.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Right? Yeah, this reminds me of, so I did an apprenticeship to be a großen Außenhandelskaufmann in Germany. And one of the like programs the company had was to follow the Lieferschein is a German word, so it's like an order document,
like a
PO.
delivery slip.
PO, delivery slip.
Yeah.
It was the document that at the time, this is before digitalization, would travel throughout the organization to get an order actually done, right? So one of the things they had is, as you started in the apprenticeship, actually in the first year, you would follow this document on a 6-month rotation throughout the entire company.
Well, that's also very smart.
It was super cool because after, I think it was 36 weeks, because there's 6 different departments, you had spent 6 weeks in each department. You had followed this document through, so you completely understood. Okay, there was an order taken by a salesman or an order made. Then it went into logistics. Then it went to warehousing. From there, it went to accounting. Then it went to shipping, receiving. So there was all these different. Kind of reminded me of that sort of little offshoot there. Yeah, I think it's very helpful because you kind of conceptually put together what is this company about and what may I like and what may I not like.
Yeah. I guess so many people work in companies where they're in their silo and they actually don't really know what it's about. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do an amazing job, fantastic on a daily basis, but what's the bigger picture behind it?
Yeah.
And whether it's purposefully done this way or not, I think it helps. Transparency helps to make people understand the job other ones do, appreciate that job, and maybe even go beyond that and say, you know what? I know what you have to deal with. I'll make life easier for you, so let me make that stamp before that.
Yeah.
Or let me make this so your life is easier.
Yeah,
right?
So, totally, yeah.
So, again, whether it's purposefully done, some companies like that compartmentalization. Did I say that right?
I think you said it right, yes. Yeah, and it has that many syllables too.
Or not, but it helps. And big companies, I think Procter & Gamble, Unilever, they purposefully put people in certain key positions. After 2 years, they have to rotate. So all of a sudden, you see the head of accounting in a different position.
Yeah.
So has many reasons, but one of the reasons is to learn and appreciate the other's work.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're a junior export sales manager. I got that right?
Yes.
Okay. At Liqui Moly. So I think this is, before we keep going on your path to the US, let's talk a little bit about Liqui Moly. Maybe you can give us the cliff notes about who the company is and what makes it so special.
So the company Liqui Moly, I think I'll start with the name. It stands for liquid molybdenum disulfide, which is, it looks like a graphite powder, like a black powder, which reduces friction at the end of the day. If you put that powder between two metal plates and you rub it against each other, the reduction of friction is the result.
Okay.
So that in a motor where you have things rubbing against each other is huge. So Liqui Moly was one of the first companies coming up with a solution for the cars, adding that specific powder in a fluid solution into the motor oil, so the friction is less.
Very cool.
So that was one of our first products. It's a motor oil additive. So Liqui Moly, with the name liquid molybdenum disulfide, stands for one of the key ingredients of our first product.
It's a really catchy name, Liqui Moly.
And also the logo is kind of catchy, right? Some people don't know Liqui Moly if I say it, but if I show the logo, then they kind of recognize it again.
Yep.
So we started with that additive, but then soon enough we added oils to the whole game, because it was kind of a natural mix to have not only additives but oil as well. So we have a full range nowadays: oils, additives, car care products. And in the United States, we kind of try to duplicate that line. So we have, out of 4,000 SKUs in Germany, we run about 400 SKUs. Just because we cannot import everything, there's restrictions, some products don't make sense.
Right.
So we kind of cherry pick the best ones, the best sellers, the ones this market needs the most.
Yeah.
And we made sure that they're compliant with restrictions, compliant with ingredients, formulations, labeling. And ever since about 30 years, we distribute that line here in the States.
Yeah.
15 years ago, we started a subsidiary. And about 6, 7, 8 years ago, we really started to run with it. To grow the business.
Yeah, that's excellent. And so the company is, when was it founded? Was it in the 50s, right?
1957.
57, okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
We do have a company, so Liqui Moly acquired its oil producer Meguin, which produced way back all the oils for Liqui Moly. We acquired it a couple of years back already, so it's all in one hand. And Meguin produces the oils for Liqui Moly.
And where's Meguin?
Meguin is based in Sarre-Louis, which is close to the French border.
Okay.
And Meguin produces the oils for Liqui Moly. So Liqui Moly itself produces the additives, and Meguin produces the oils.
Okay.
But it's all under one roof.
Okay.
And why I say that is because Meguin actually has experience with lubrication since the 1850s.
Oh, wow, okay.
So if you combine that...
So Meguin is a refinery, right? Is that correct?
It's not a refinery.
Okay.
It's a oil blender.
Basically,
they mix raw, like base oils together with additive packages, add their secret sauce to it.
Got it.
And fill that from a 1 liter canister into totes, we call it. It's a 1,000-liter IBC container.
Yeah. Wow, that's incredible. Yeah.
So yeah, that exists since 1850 already. So a long history and a lot of knowledge.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Which went into that company.
So was some of this development or this need for, with friction assisting oils, was it OEM driven, like the big brands like Mercedes, Porsche, BMW, those, or was this very much an aftermarket? What came first, so to say?
Yeah, so first in the you might ask yourself, 1850s, there was no cars yet, right? So
that's right.
It was kind of is it called stagecoach in English? Kutsche?
Kutsche, yeah, I think it's a stagecoach. Yeah,
right?
I'm thinking Wells Fargo, the red.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a stagecoach.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they, in their wheel hubs and everything, they needed special greases already. So that's kind of what it started with, amongst others. And then we were getting into motor oils soon in the in the 1910, 1920s, we started with that effort. So your question, was it OEM driven? We always try to adhere to the standards the OEMs give to us. Whenever you develop an oil or whenever you develop a car, let's start here. The motor asks for specific specifications, right? Because tolerances get smaller, smaller. You want to make sure on the one hand that it's lubricated fast enough. You start the motor, cold start. It takes a while until the oil gets to the last point of the motor. On the same hand, you do want to also ensure that the lubrication is still there, because the thinner the oil, it kind of seems like the less you lubricate it, right? So you need to make sure it's fast enough in every single corner, but it still lubricates, plus all the other properties an oil has, anti-corrosion, bringing away the dirt, bringing it to the filter. So basically, all this knowledge has to go. You construct a motor. For example, engineer, BMW, they construct a new motor, but they already have to think about the tolerances. What does the oil have to do to make that motor work as it should? So they come up with a whole spec sheet what the oil should do. And at the end of the day, let's call it, there's a receipt, like a recipe, a recipe.
Yeah.
About how the oil should work, what should it do.
Yeah.
And that's the recipe of that oil. So we formulate oils according to that recipe, and you have always a little bit of wiggle room to make an oil even better, to exceed certain specifications, right? So it is OEM driven 100%, because they tell us what the oil has to look like at the end of the day. But it's up to us to source the best ingredients for it, because you can meet a spec, just meet it, or you can exceed it in a certain way.
Yeah, so you work very closely with engine development at the OEMs, your applications people or sales people.
Correct. At the end of the day, if you want to have an approval, so there is recommendation or approval. Most of our oils actually have the approval, which means that the researchers, the R&D departments of the OEMs, they give you a formal approval letter if you meet these specifications. So with that letter, you're good to write on your bottle. I'm not sure if you see it on that bottle here. On this line, it says actually specifications and approvals, and you can read approvals such as MB 229.5, which is Mercedes-Benz. 229.5 is the approval of that specific
Interesting,
oil.
Very interesting. So now that probably means you can distribute it to the entire dealership network and those kind of things. So Correct. It's been cleared by headquarter of the OEM and you're good to go. Okay. Yeah.
And you'll be surprised, a lot of repair shops are not really aware of that concept. So that's why many repair shops still stick to, on the oil cap it says competitor name XYZ.
Right.
That's why I have to use that oil. And after we educate them, this is where our sales people come in. It's more educators in the market, right? After they're being educated and they see the official approval letter with a Mercedes logo and everything, that this specific oil is approved by Mercedes, then it puts away all their concerns, and all of a sudden you can have an intelligent conversation about what fluids can we substitute in the repair shop to make their life easier.
Right.
Life easier, speaking not only acquisition costs, we're speaking about consolidating certain specifications to, instead of using 3 different types of oils and having a lot of storage, one oil bottle can consolidate a lot of different approvals. So all of a sudden, instead of 10 different products, hey, you only need 2 different products, which makes the whole life of the repair shops easier.
Fantastic. That's great. Yeah, that's Yeah, we'll get to this in just a minute, talking about the USA. And so you're the junior export sales manager. How did you immediately have to deal with the US, or?
No, not really.
Yeah.
I wanted to. I wanted to,
Yeah.
but no, I first dealt with countries, was Belgium,
Okay.
Luxembourg, and Holland.
Okay.
Just was the proximity of it,
Yep.
right? From Ulm to Belgium, it was a 6-hour drive.
Okay.
So cost of traveling was lower. They wanted to give me territories where I cannot screw up a lot because they're not too huge, these countries. They're
Right.
beautiful, these countries,
Sure.
but just there's not too many cars compared to other countries,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
And I love Belgium. Just want to give that as an example.
Yeah.
People amazing, food amazing, the history of the cities great.
Yeah.
One of the best places I've been to.
That's cool.
But I never liked the weather there. I never liked the weather. It was always raining when I was there, right?
Yeah.
And according to the people, when it's raining, they're just they're minding their own business versus being like in California now, being open and nice and friendly.
Yeah.
It was challenging, right? And I never really got into the culture of these three countries too much. They have their own culture, even though they're so close. They have their own culture.
Yeah.
But I didn't love traveling there because of the weather. And in my back of my head, I always had this calling, like
US.
US. So, well, I thought there's a lot of things I can do now, but I think the best strategy is to do the best I can to show the value of me adding to that company and to do a great job, and then to try to focus on anything in the North American market, just to get a foot into
Sure.
there, right?
Sure.
So
Did they have well, I guess they had some kind of export sales manager that was working in the US at
there
the
was
time.
already a CEO implemented.
Oh, already in the US.
Yes,
okay.
correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good guy.
Yeah.
And so I was working my butt off, if I'm allowed to say that here.
Sure. You
I was
are.
working
Yeah.
my butt off.
Yeah.
And then I learned that the Mexican market might need some support. So what I did is I told my boss, hey, listen, I love these countries I work in right now, but I would love to extend my doings and go to the North American market.
Sure,
and
sure.
I learned in Mexico, like, we need some help.
Yeah.
He's like, do you speak Spanish? I'm
Yeah.
like, I had it in high school and in university a little bit.
Yeah.
Not fluently right now. He's like, speak Spanish and come back to me.
Yeah.
So every night I learned for an hour Spanish vocabulary. So I had like a vocabulary a vocabulary box.
Yeah.
Just very traditional. Just wrote down all the vocabulary, learned,
Sure.
read.
Yeah.
And after 3 months, I had an interview with him again.
Yeah.
And I spoke in Spanish.
Yeah.
So he was very impressed by that.
That's
So-
fantastic.
And,
And I've
so-
seen you speak Spanish actually the last time we were in California, and I was impressed. I was like, oh my gosh, there we go. You know. Like,
yeah, it really helped me
Yeah.
all the way through.
yeah.
So yes, to all the listeners, learn languages. It's the key to any culture, and the people will love you if you speak their language. from
Yeah,
their country,
exactly.
right?
They just
and it
try.
opens you so much new doors.
Yeah.
And it's fun on top of that.
Yeah.
So I learned Spanish and made a point that I would be the right guy for the Mexican market. Well, after a long back and forth, he was like, you know what, let's do it. And I told him I would love to live in Mexico because I want to be close to the market, want to visit the repair shops, visit the distributors, teach them how to do it, just like we did in the Benelux countries.
Yeah.
So he gave me a chance and already got in contact with our distributor there, got an apartment.
Mexico City?
Mexico City.
Yeah.
Got an apartment, but I never lived there.
Okay.
Why? Because about 3-4 weeks before I actually moved there, the position of CEO of Liqui Moly USA became free.
Ah, okay.
So I was asked if I would be interested in that. And of course I was interested
Yeah,
in that,
absolutely,
right?
yeah.
So I had 24 hours to decide because
Yeah.
it was kind of a quick thing we had to do.
Right.
Because for me, the implication was really to move to the United States then versus Mexico.
Yeah.
Like to put everything again on my plate, revisit where I want to live and so on. But after a sleepless night of weighing pros and cons.
They literally gave you 24 hours. That is so German. You know, it's like,
So-
yeah, okay.
Well, it took me probably 16 hours to decide, right?
Yeah.
So making a very German pros and cons list and weighing actually the individual arguments I had.
Sure.
I came to the conclusion, you know what? I don't want to regret when I'm 50
Sure.
that I didn't take that chance. Because I was 27 back then.
27. Okay, I was about to ask that. Yeah. Wow. Okay, 27. What was the state of? Well, I mean, we're sitting here to go. You made the decision to go, so that's great.
Exactly.
But what's the state of Liqui Moly US? You know, as you were pondering that decision.
The state was we had sales growth. That was positive. But for a country with 280 million cars, And a brand like we have, we just felt we didn't get enough out of it. So the state was, we had roughly 10 salespeople here in the States. We had sort of a marketing strategy, but with nobody being here present in the market from Germany, from the headquarters, who could play the translator.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying the actual English to German translator, but the cultural translator.
Yeah.
It was very difficult for us
Yeah.
to manage the States from Germany. And again, the former CEO, he did a good job, the best he could, but he was based out of Germany. So
he was based out of Germany. Okay.
So for me, the implication was, if I don't want to have the same path like he did, if I want to do things differently, gain the trust of the headquarters, I have to move. The implication was I have to move to the States to understand the people, to learn for myself first and foremost, to show the people in the States who used to work for us already that I'm in for it. I'm not shy to get my hands dirty as well, to visit the repair shops, to understand the whole business, to visit the distributors, to get with the marketing agencies, just everything which needs to be
really
done.
hands-on,
Hands-on. I needed to know the game.
Right.
So it took me a couple of years to and I still learn every day.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
But it took me a certain while to understand it properly.
So the CEO, the one that was leading the US operations from Germany, did he retire or exit the company, or how did the position come open?
Yeah, he exited the company.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Excellent. And then within 24 hours you had to make the decision.
Exactly.
And very good.
And then my first year basically, so I took the decision.
Yeah.
And within the next week, I booked my plane tickets.
Yeah.
It was 2016 in March.
Right.
And I flew to Seattle.
Yeah.
Was my first destination. Why Seattle? Because we had our supervisor for the salespeople there. He was based in Seattle.
Okay.
So I was visiting him. He showed me around Seattle. And me arriving in the US, absolutely with my all the prejudice I had, like, oh, there's no healthy food here in the States, and like everything which sometimes like you think you know yourself, right?
Sure.
Because remember, the last time I've been there was as a child, and my parents cooked for me in the RV, so it was like and all I saw was then outside McDonald's, Taco Bell, and so on.
Right.
Yeah. So he kind of explained to me how the current system works, what he thinks is good, what he thinks we can do better, and really big kudos to him. He taught me a lot. His name is Dave. Very good guy. He's still with the company.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And he taught me a lot. He also taught me that there's healthy food in the United States. And soon enough, the first year was about getting the hands dirty and traveling. So the first 3 months, I didn't go back to Germany. I was living every 3-4 days in a different hotel.
Yeah.
In all the States, it was great on the one hand, but very exhausting on the other hand. Because every 3-4 days, you change the hotel. You kind of have to wash your clothes in hotels, in laundry stations, and so on. And suck in everything you see.
Yeah.
Not a lot of talking, but more listening.
Yeah.
So I listened to my salespeople. And again, we had close to 10 back then. So I made sure to visit all of them so they know me. And made sure to visit most of our distributors back then.
Sure.
To get a complete picture after 3-4 months. And after these 4 months, Matthias, I realized, okay, I have to move to the States. Because I don't want to live in a constant jet lag.
Yeah, sure.
Plus, I have to be close to the market to gain credibility with my own people.
Sure.
And I think my teammates really.
Who are you reporting to at this time? Like, there's you had did you speak directly to the CEO, or was there another export, like
there was
an international
international export director?
Got it. Okay.
I was reporting to him, but I was really lucky that they kind of left me alone.
Yeah.
I think they saw my motivation and passion and drive.
Yeah, they must have. I mean, it's incredible. Yeah.
While being in the Benelux countries. And I was obviously giving them feedback constantly, so there was not too many more questions they would ask. And they liked what they saw. They liked my openness to the team, my kindness to the team, the respect, the mutual respect, the fact that I'm not behind a desk and think I know it all, but the fact that I'm actually willing to learn till today.
Sure.
And if somebody is smart and intelligent, well, I listen to you. I'm open for any consult. If somebody is even better than you want to work for me, even better. So it's not, many people don't want to hire people who they think they are more intelligent, more passionate than them.
Right.
I love that. If somebody is like that, please apply for the position here. We always make space for good people, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I reported back then to our export director. He also left after 2 years. So then I reported directly to the CEO, to the former CEO of Liqui Moly for a certain period of time.
Yeah.
which was great because, again, he left me alone. I just did whatever I thought would be the right thing for Liqui Moly to do.
I mean, it's just incredible that an organization is letting a 27-year-old, give him the reins and, just judge him by their performance, right? And no other prejudice, right? Age and
I really have to say also thank you to the company to let me do that, to always have the confidence, because it's hard to do that in my position if you think they don't really trust you whatsoever. So they always have my back.
Yeah.
And I think it was really mutual. And feeling that motivated me to really give my best and not screw up things.
Sure, absolutely.
And I also love the fact that, hey, if a mistake is being done, no problem, do it better the next time.
Right.
Avoid the mistake. So they really encourage that policy, that way of doing business, which I also encourage my own people.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So when you you take over and you're learning over those 3 months, kind of just getting the lay of the land, right? What's going on, what's working, what's not working, just listening to people.
Yeah.
What was sales at that point?
Roughly, we were a little bit over $15 million.
$15 million, okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. And headcount? 10 people.
10 people.
10 people got it. And what does the company look like today?
So we're now having 50 plus people. So only salespeople, we're looking at 43. 44, it changes kind of every day. We're hiring.
Sure. Yeah.
So we have 43 teammates, 44 teammates in sales. And we have another 8 in our back office, which is basically marketing and admin.
Gotcha.
So
And sales
we're over
are
50.
now?
Like we're looking at 100 million.
100 million. Wow. Yeah. Okay. So 10x pretty much over a period of how many years?
So I started in 2016, 17 till now. So 6-7 years.
Wow. That's incredible. I mean,
and it's really thanks to the people I have.
Sure.
Because what I said before, open to hire all the good people in this world. So, and having the right people makes things not only easier, but it makes you successful.
Sure.
So I don't want to be the smartest guy in the room. I love surrounding myself with good, passionate, intelligent people, not only privately, but also in my business life and in my own company here.
Yeah.
So I call it my own company. It's not my own company, but I feel like this is like the thing we built.
But this is what it takes, right? You come over here, it's the entire continent, and there's, yes, your team had your back in Germany, but for at least 6 hours a day, you're on your own,
Yeah. And living on the West Coast, it's basically
9 hours.
Maybe exactly. It's 9 hours difference, so it's hard. You get up.
Yeah.
You want to start your day traditionally at 8 o'clock.
Sure.
But guess what? At 8 o'clock, it's 5 o'clock in Germany.
Right.
And Germans are very efficient workers, but they're also very good when it's 5 o'clock. They do want to go back home, which it's the culture there, and they're very efficient and working, very hard workers, so they deserve it to go home at 5.
Yeah.
Which makes my life sometimes harder because you're sometimes some days on your own, or you start at 5-6 o'clock in the morning.
Sure.
Which I definitely started at the beginning of my journey here. It was just necessary to have that time window of 2-3 hours to be able to communicate.
But
But now I would say we're running mostly ourselves in the States. There is not a lot we need. They're always there when we need them, but there's not a lot we need. So basically, we don't need too much overlapping time to work together.
Got it. Or less, maybe a few times a week or something like that. Yeah, that's excellent.
And I do like working out sometimes before my work. So, so otherwise I would have to get up at 3 or 4 o'clock
to work out and then talk to Germany.
Totally open. I'm not a fan of getting up at 4 o'clock.
I don't think anybody is. How do you position the product here? That I really liked hearing this earlier, and I wanted to get back to it. Because I had said this in prior podcasts. So many times, German companies, European companies, they become hyper competitive in the European market, to have marginal growth, right? Because there's so much competition. I know some of your competition. And you end up having 4,000 variants of the product or add-ons or such. How did you come to the decision to dial down to this is the core products that we should be selling?
I'm very fortunate to have an amazing technical engineer to my disposal. His name is Stefan. Thank you, Stefan, for everything you do for us. He's also I'm 24/7 available with WhatsApp, with phone calls, and he travels to the States quite frequently, so he knows the market in a technical way very, very well. So he's on top of what's needed here, what's demanded here. I can only say so much, know so much. He's really the one who fills the last percentages of, hey, we actually need this specific specifications for this transmission type because there is 10,000 cars in there. Knowledge I don't have, but he has, right? So we started with a pretty good foundation of products, which when I started with, so the person prior of me managing it did already a good job in that. But then we reviewed the whole catalog. Okay, what's the German catalog? 4,000 products. Oh, there's potential in this one. There's potential here after my 3-month journey, right? I was like, why don't we sell this here? Why don't we sell this? With some products, we found out there's a reason because there's restrictions. EPA restrictions, TSCA restrictions. So there's a toxic Substance Control Act, which restricts you to import certain products which have certain ingredients. The same other way around, right? We Europeans, we also restrict certain ingredients, which is totally normal in the US to use. We in Europe say, they're not so good to use, and vice versa. So it's really so we kind of reviewed it in every single angle, but we did find a lot of products which, hey, we need to have them in the States. So that's how we extended our portfolio and went from probably 200 to 400 products.
To 400 products, yeah, fantastic. And then what's the... So, I mean, I like motorcycles, so I know a little bit about oil. I like to do my own oil changes and such, So there's Valvoline, and then there's like a million different oils you can buy, right? Why do I buy Liqui Moly oil? Like, what was the USP? Like, why did the United States need a specialty German oil manufacturer?
Very good question. So, let me ask you this: How do you make an oil change? Do you change it yourself, or do you go to a dealership or an independent repair shop?
So on my car, I go to a dealership and have them do it.
Yeah.
On my motorcycles, I like to do it myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
So on your motorcycle, it's likely if you do it yourself that you will do your research. Either you ask a good buddy of yours who maybe happens to be a tech.
YouTube.
Or exactly. So either the buddy.
Yeah.
For the buddy, we try to influence your buddy in the sense of we're present in the industry conventions, trade shows. We're present in motorcycle clubs. We're present in many things which have touching points with your hypothetical buddy who could consult you. But in your world right now, it's YouTube. So in YouTube, if you look up oil change, there might be an influencer who does an oil change and he happens to have a certain brand, which then you maybe want to duplicate what he's doing, right?
Yeah.
We try to get that influencer. So we work together with influencers. There's forums, which we also try to get into, but forums are more for me, something which is a result of our doing. So we don't try to get our text on forums, because that just sounds not right, because it's obvious, it smells like there's something wrong, right?
Sure.
So we want people to talk on forums about things we do outside of the forums, namely being on Cars and Coffees, being with influencers, teaching about the product. To that point, motorcycle, we have a strong association with MotoGP.
Okay.
Do you know MotoGP?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I think now I have a perfect angle to answer your question.
Okay.
So MotoGP has banners on the side, and it's bannered with Liqui Moly. The MotoGP motorcycles, they all use their secret oil. It's not disclosed. But Moto2 and Moto3, which are the feeders of MotoGP, they have homogeneous motorcycles. It's all the same brand, everything the same, including the oil. And the oil is Liqui Moly for Moto2 and Moto3. All bikes in all series.
Wow.
It's officially Liqui Moly. So it's a requirement for them to use Liqui Moly.
Yeah.
Would any MotoGP association use bad oil? No.
Yeah.
So they will use the best which is available in the market.
Yeah.
So we have the association. It's actually in all our oils of the motorcycle. This is not a motorcycle oil. This is one.
Yeah.
You see this black logo here?
Yeah.
It says Dorna approved Moto2 plus Moto3. So all these motorcycles use it. There's your unique selling point. This specific 5W40 is exactly the oil which all the Moto2 and all the Moto3 bikes race. So tested for extreme conditions.
Right.
So I think that is a good story then, which my salespeople can bring to the motorcycle dealerships, bring to the influencers, so they know the USP, and then they translate it to you. So if you would happen to go to a motorcycle retail store, the hope would be that one of my salespeople would have visited that and explained Liqui Moly, not only the specs approval, but also the story behind the product.
Yeah.
So there you go. So if you hear that Moto 2, Moto 3 uses our oil, it's very likely that you'll be, to say the least, curious about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know also some of your aftermarket, the complementary products, like the car care products. So I'm familiar with those, and through the motorcycle angle.
That's so nice, the cross-selling aspect of it.
I can imagine.
People who have motorcycles, obviously they have cars. Some car owners have motorcycles. So the guy who used in his Porsche Liqui Moly oil, if he has a motorcycle and he likes the performance of our oil, it's very likely that he will look into Liqui Moly motorcycle too. So.
And you don't do this in MotoGP. I think you're also involved with several racing series. I saw you at Formula One. I was actually a bit envious because I saw you there. Were you actually down in the paddocks? I think you were.
No, we were not down in the paddocks. We always have visitors there, so we run promotions, etc., etc. And we visit them, and it's very challenging to get into the paddocks at Formula One. We do that with MotoGP, which is phenomenal. Yeah. But Formula One, it's such a crowded place, and restrictions are super high.
I can imagine.
So we take our guests mostly to the fan areas, to the really good seats. Yeah. But I hadn't had the pleasure yet to shake the hands of Max Verstappen, for example. Maybe in future.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, I think he'll be the champion for many, many years. So
I have more chances to shake
I think so. Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah. Interesting. Okay, so but there's some affiliation there. Then I know also like desert racing, right? There is. Do you sponsor a trophy truck? Is that or?
We used to.
You used to.
With Armin Schwarz. Yeah, he's a German rally driver. And he was a long time in Baja, so we sponsored him. And for us, it's always important. So what we do is we look at the segments we want to or do currently work in. So segment automotive. Okay. Funny enough, within automotive, there's different sub-segments. There is the segment of the Volkswagen Audi owners who are very passionate about their Volkswagen. Right? Yep. There's BMW car clubs. So we want to talk to the right people within these segments. Okay. So let's look real quick at the automotive segment. Within automotive, you have the BMW crowd. And they are very passionate about their cars. They go to their own car meets. They have their own literature they read, their own forums they read, their own sometimes distributor they buy from. So we want to make sure we associate with them. And I think a keyword here is we want to speak the same language as they do. Yeah. We want to have the same terminologies as they have. We want to relate to their issues, because if we know their issues, we might come up with a solution for their issues. Same with the power sports. So it's not that and I don't want to call them salespeople. First and foremost, they're teammates. And secondly, they're not doing sales. They're more educators. Educators, yeah. So we want to make sure that our educators speak the same language as the segments. So the power sports people, for example, one of the requirements is they have to either own or know how to maneuver a side-by-side, a street bike, a dirt bike. So all our sales promoters for the power sports, they're motorcyclists.
Passionate, about that.
Yeah, because if you show up at a repair shop for motorcycles and if you don't even know how to ride a motorcycle, guess how credible they think you are. Yeah. So they have to use our products, drive motorcycle, and be passionate about the brand. Yeah. And then, you know what? We let them go. And we give them a lot of freedom. So. And mostly they actually provide back by doing a great job for us.
That is so interesting, yeah. So you mentioned earlier that a lot of this has, like, let's say the Mercedes stamp of approval already, right? Or any other OEM, right, in Europe. And then your job is really to educate here and let people know it's like, hey, look, this would actually, like risk management, right? It's like, this is a high performance oil, that's already been approved by the OEM. So there's like zero risk for you, just use this product. Yeah.
And what I love about my job, and I think my own teammates appreciate that too. We're not pushy at all. We really add value to the repair shops by educating, training, giving them sales tools. Because many of our repair shops, they're amazing techs, but they struggle time-wise to take care about their appearance of their business, of anything that related, right? Because they truly love repairing cars or motorcycles. But when it comes to signboards, outside of the shop, they don't have the connection, the time, the knowledge, the willingness to tomorrow. It's like not on their priority list, and it makes sense because they have to repair the cars which are lined up and take up all the space, right? So we do add a lot of value, which I love, because at the end of the day, the business is just a result of us being good people and good supporters of their businesses.
Of their businesses, yeah.
And then the result will be, you know what, they will buy from us because it's amazing product, it's good quality, and it helps them to grow. Some love to associate themselves with a brand like Liqui Moly, which is kind of everywhere, Formula One, all the racing teams. So if their very own logo is next to our logo on a signboard on the outside, they love that.
It's a win-win for them.
It's a win-win for us.
Yeah.
It's for them. It's more customers come in. So it's a great journey we did the last 5 years.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So you're really tackling the OEM side. So I guess, well, this was more the aftermarket side. Like on the OEM side, like do you, like I know what Mercedes says, what, 300 dealers in the US? Something like that?
Yeah.
Something, right? Like
Yeah.
something along the, so then you go to each one of them and you try to have your sales folks influence them and let them know that this is a listed product? Or?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So our bread and butter is the aftermarket.
Yeah.
And we do want to stick to that.
Okay.
Because we do want to support, let me just give you Joe's Muffler Shop.
Sure.
We want to support that guy.
Yeah.
Because in our universe, he appreciates more our support on the marketing side, education versus the dealerships.
Sure.
BMW dealership, they have all the support, all the need, all the education. They have their corporate identity. They are not even allowed to put a sticker outside,
Okay.
right? So their need from us to support in that way is not as high. Plus, they always have certain agreements where they have to use the original oil to a certain extent. So entering that market is a little bit more challenging. But funny enough, more and more business is coming to us.
Because you're doing such a good job on the aftermarket side.
It appears so. Like
Yeah.
our people are really truly amazing human beings who form relationships also with these people, and the quality speaks for itself. We have the approval of a BMW plant, for example, and so they are allowed to. They can absolutely use our oil. It's just a matter of getting the relationship, getting in there, and getting also the distribution in there, which we are now doing a better job than 5-6 years ago, distribution wise.
Yeah.
Yeah, because most of these dealerships need bigger quantities. So you need an oil tanker filling in oil to their tanks, right? And some of our current distributors have cars and they deliver our 5-liter jugs with cars to the aftermarket. Guess what? You don't want to deliver 5-liter jugs to a dealership, which then you have to pour in 1,000 in their big tanks. Right? So, but now we do have the logistics and the distribution to get access to these dealerships.
To these dealerships as well. Yeah, that's fantastic. That's great. Yeah, that's.
So
I mean, it seems like how do you? I guess there's big warehousing in the United States for the products, right? Or how do you handle that?
We do have a warehouse.
Yeah.
But the focus on that is more because everything is made in Germany so far, right? All the oils and all the additives.
Right.
So our focus is to deliver it to the States in the most efficient way. The most efficient way appears to not be touch the product in Germany, ship it to our warehouse, which is in Tennessee,
right,
and then touch it, warehouse it, cost.
Yeah.
Pick and pack, cost. And then you sub-distribute it again to somewhere else.
Sure.
To that other location, then it has to be warehoused again. And then from there, pick and pack. And then it has to be shipped to the either end consumer or it has to be shipped to a repair shop, which then uses our products. So the most efficient way for us right now is to literally ship it from Germany to the distributors directly. So they just have to touch it one time until it lands at the repair shop.
And it goes there. Okay.
We do have a warehouse though, because there is always a certain product which is needed. There is an opportunity we want to start a distributor. So it's kind of we kickstart business.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What a great business and what a run you've had.
It was fun.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Still is fun.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, there's lots to come. I mean, it's a huge business, you know. So maybe let's talk a little bit about because I think you have a really good hold of this. Being a German that has come here, you know, from the German headquarters and is succeeding, right?
Yeah.
What are some of the pitfalls of working with the German headquarters, being kind of on this lonely island that's called North America, you know, leading a subsidiary?
I think the challenges I have are challenges other German subsidiaries here have with German headquarters, right? We're speaking about not only a language barrier. I think most Germans actually know English quite well. Although they sometimes don't want to speak it, which is one challenge. I do have to say, when we have sometimes meetings, it's some people are just although they're better than they think they are in the English language, but they kind of are shy speaking English on the phone in front of their other German colleagues. They're shy, right?
Yeah.
But more than the language, there's a cultural difference in doing things. So I just feel, and I'm really speaking about general things. There's always exceptions, and I have met Germans who are super into taking risk and not, but just generally.
This is a generalization for sure.
The culture here, I do feel there is more entrepreneurship. There is more willing to take certain risk. I feel an entrepreneur or somebody who tries to work out things or tries to hustle, to have his own little business is way more respected than in Germany. Like, oh, he really tried. It's really, I feel you're an employee in Germany for a big corporation. It's like, oh yeah, you made it.
Yeah.
In the US, it's good, but you made it if you're an entrepreneur, you're yourself, you're a self-made man.
And also, if this person fails, I think the US is much more forgiving than we are in Germany.
Exactly. More people do it. It's more a daily thing, which you see, your neighbors do it, he does it.
Yeah.
In Germany, it's kind of, at least the places I've been to, the people I know, it's an exception to try to make your own business. At least the people I spend time with, right?
I agree too, and it's also, we're talking about perceptions, how it feels, right? It's not, we're not talking about a individual or a region. It's just how it feels.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah.
So the willingness to take risk, I feel in general in business is bigger here than in Germany, and that's. I had to learn that. I always kind of like taking risk, but again, remember the security net. I do like to know my calculated risk. If I fall, that's the bottom line, and this bottom line will not make me end up being like not having a roof over my head.
Yeah.
So that cultural difference is one big aspect, but also the motivational part. In German, we have a saying. I'm sure you heard it. Nicht geschimpft ist gelobt genug.
Yeah.
Difficult to translate it. So if I don't tell you that you did something wrong, this is enough of praise to you.
Yeah.
So, which is maybe even only Swabian, right?
No. It's
So like, if you don't hear from your boss ever, you do a good job.
Yep.
You know what? You do a good job because he didn't complain.
Right. Yeah.
But here in the States, I feel that you have to take a more proactive approach to motivate your people.
Yes.
Speak more positively. Speak about your successes. If you speak about the successes, also a good benefit here is people seem to be they envy you in a positive way if you're successful. You as a business, you as an individual. Versus in Germany, sometimes it's not always wise to show that you're very successful.
Yeah, there's a difference between envy and jealousy. I don't know which one is which.
Envy, I think, is more positive, right? Jealous is more the negative,
that's right.
bitter taste.
Envy is, you did well, and I would like to figure out how to get that as well.
Please tell me how to.
Right, yeah. And the other one would be, you did well, I don't want you to have it.
Yes, exactly.
But I don't know
I'm
which
sure
one is
you
which.
only have it. You only have it because of your grandfather gave you the money. Or
you cheated
like
someone. You must have done something wrong, right? Like that's in Germany is like how in the heck does he have this and I don't have that kind of thing.
So I really like in the States the positiveness of success.
Yeah, I agree.
People are very positive about it. They love it. They approach you. Hey, how did you do it? Love it. Let me be your friend. It's really it's amazing, and I love that. And you have to adapt because if you're going with that German mindset and culture to here. I'm going as far as saying people don't want to work for you. If you're mostly negative, not motivating, and if you don't praise your people, if you take certain things, like it's not what the people here love.
Yeah, what they used to really and expect,
Sure. And I know some of my German friends, they make fun of that we in the States always say, oh, it's awesome, it's cool.
It's true.
Dude, that's the language, that's the way it works here.
Yeah.
And to be truthful, I love that. Personally, I love having the small talks with people. I love it. Why not being positive? Because if you're positive things will happen.
Well, the thing is, for a German, it comes across as superficial, right? Like and it is sometimes superficial. Let's be honest about that as well. Yeah. But the general mood is positive, instead of the general mood being realistic or sometimes actually rude, which I must agree with you too. I like that very much as well.
And I have a lot of German friends who are not like that, so I do want to point that out. We're not generalizing. It's the experiences I made with a lot of people, but there's not only exceptions. There's a broad mass in Germany, which I know they maybe would like to be that way, but guess what? If you're very friendly and you're saying hello to everyone and you get 5 times a mad face, you probably stop saying hello to everyone.
Yeah.
It's a cultural thing sometimes,
right?
Versus here, it's exactly the other way around. You're here at the grocery store.
Yeah.
And person asks you, how's your day?
Yeah.
And I love responding, amazing. How's yours?
Yeah.
Ah, yeah, blah, blah. What are, so, and as far as like, oh, what plans do you have for the weekend?
Yeah.
Where if you live in Germany, you moved here, you're like weirded out. Like, why would this person ask me what I'm doing at the weekend? But here it's kind of normal. You get from A to B to C, and it happened to me too. Like, I found common connections with the person who was taking my money at the cashier at the grocery store. All of a sudden, you have opportunities coming up.
Yeah.
So I'm on the same side. It's very superficial, but that superficiality leads into friendships, opportunities, whatever, because it's an icebreaker.
Yeah, it is.
It's just a natural icebreaker to ask, how's your day? What are you up to? Whatever. Yeah. Which then leads to more.
And you learn to deal with it. Like if you want to not have that kind of interaction, there's a way to do that the American way as well. And you learn to, it's like, I mean, how many times have you told, oh yeah, we got to do that sometime. Or let's grab coffee sometime. That's a very American way of saying, we'll never have that coffee.
Yeah, but it's totally fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
And I always had this prejudice that people that say exactly that, they invite you. But you know what? If you make an effort to actually see these people, then again, it's gonna happen.
Oh, it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. I 100% agree with you. It's a much more positive outlook on things in general.
Exactly.
And much friendly people. Well, I think we're coming to an end of the podcast.
That was fast.
I know. I could talk. I could keep going. Well, we'll do it again. I'll tell you that.
I would love to.
Yeah.
Let's go for a coffee one day.
Yeah, sure. No, I'm just kidding.
But that coffee will happen.
Yeah, definitely. It already has and will again.
Yes.
No, very cool. Tell us, is there anything special going on at Liqui Moly that you'd like to promote? Any positions you're trying to fill? Where can people find you? I know you're very active, social media channels and such. Maybe you want to promote that for our listeners.
I mean, yes, we're always looking, as I said, for good people. If you think you can add value to a fast-growing team, you're flexible, please apply. And you can reach us.
Where would they apply? Sorry.
You can reach us at liquimoly.com or our Instagram, liquimoly.usa.canada, or just look up my personal name. Like I literally had applicants. We had people applying from Germany, and we hired them, reaching out on my personal Instagram.
That's cool.
So Sebastian.Zelger1.
Yeah.
If that is an option. So I know there's many channels. LinkedIn, Liqui Moly, LinkedIn, my personal name, Sebastian Zelger. So yeah, whichever way, I'm checking all these social medias, emails, messages. And yeah, we're a fast-growing team. We would like to continue fast-growing. To do that, we need the good teammates. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, perfect. Well, hey, once again, thank you so much for telling us all about Liqui Moly, telling
Pleasure.
us about you. It was awesome to have you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Matthias. Also, appreciate being here. Appreciate your services. I know you helped us out already, and we will continue to work together in certain fields.
Thank you.
So thanks for your help.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes nice to chit-chat with another German fellow and speak about the opportunities we have in this country.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Thanks for your help.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.